All right, it looks like some people are still joining, but I'm going to go ahead and get started while everybody gets settled. My name is Courtney Adams. I'm the Partner Enablement Manager here at SharpSpring. Sorry to those of you who are hearing this for the third time now. Today's webinar is about digital marketing made easy. Roger and Ricky from Fair Marketing are going to talk to you guys about some SEO strategies and some marketing automation strategies. They've got some great stuff today, so I'm really excited. Today, the audience is made up of some SharpSpring partner agencies, some agencies considering SharpSpring, and some in-house marketing professionals. So welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you. We're here today to learn how to optimize your digital strategy with SEO and marketing automation. Roger and Ricky are going to talk to you guys about some strategies that they use at their agency for their clients, all about SEO and how to kind of leverage that with marketing automation. So it's going to be some great stuff. Just some quick little housekeeping. All of the phone lines are muted, so we can't hear you guys, but please submit questions through the chat box. We're monitoring that throughout the entire webinar, and we'll hold every question for the Q&A at the end, but you're welcome to submit them at any time. We're also on Twitter if you guys want to tag us at SharpSpring or hashtag SharpTweet. We'd love to engage with you guys on Twitter, so you can submit questions there or just post about things you like from today's webinar. The recording and the slide deck from the webinar today will be emailed out to all registrants and attendees after the webinar. And there will be a quick webinar survey at the very end. We'd love your feedback. Just a couple of questions for you to let us know how we did and topics you'd like to hear about in the future. We do have an upcoming webinar. It's for customers only. It's called our Springboard Live series. And this Friday, actually, it's going to be, next Friday. It's going to be save time with scheduled reports. So customers can tune into that. And if you're on the line and would like to present with us in the future, feel free to shoot me an email at courtney.adams@sharpspring.com. My email's up there on the screen. Today we have Roger Janik, the CEO of Fair Marketing and Rank Hacker, and Ricky Westbrook, the VP of Email Automation at Fair Marketing. These are two of our agency partners that work closely with SharpSpring, and they're going to tell you all about their agency and their strategies that they use with SEO and marketing automation. And again, I'm Courtney Adams. I'm the Partner Enablement Manager here at SharpSpring. I work closely with our partner agencies, and I work on content like today's webinar. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Roger and Ricky.
All right, Courtney, can you hear me okay?
I can, you sound great.
All right, perfect. Okay, guys, this is Roger Janik. I'm the CEO of Fair Marketing. Courtney, I appreciate you having us on today and allowing us to co-host this event, this webinar. And the topic of today is digital marketing made easy. I actually like to say digital marketing automation made easy, because today what we're going to be talking about is a lot of automation, things that we can do to make your job easier as a marketer or as an agency. Okay, so so who is Fair Marketing? Just real quickly, we're a full service digital marketing agency based out of Houston, Texas. Been in business for over 13 years. Our core competencies are SEO, PPC, paid search, social media marketing, reputation management, email marketing, and within that, marketing automation. So we hyper focus on building that digital marketing presence for business owners, anywhere from mid to enterprise class, to increase their leads and sales online. So that's a bit about us. So we've been in the game for a long time, and so hopefully we can give you guys some tips and strategies today to help you. So there's a lot of problems with SEO. So a lot of what we're going to be talking today about is SEO and search engine optimization. And so there's a lot of obstacles. So we're going to talk about some of the major obstacles and how we feel is a good way and a good strategy to overcome those obstacles. And we're going to give you guys some good useful tips today on how to do that. So jumping right into it, these are the three major obstacles or hurdles that we're going to focus on today. So, you know, with SEO, where it all begins is picking out the proper keyword phrases, you know, to start your SEO campaign on. So what keyword phrases do you want to get ranked for? But more importantly, what a lot of marketers don't always think about, which phrases are going to have the highest ROI, right? So are you going to pick phrases that are going to rank, they're going to actually give you a return on investment once you get ranked, or your client gets ranked on page 1 of Google, Yahoo, or Bing. Another big obstacle is actually building the right SEO campaign to get ranked, right? So you pick these right phrases. Now, how do you get ranked for those phrases? How do you build the proper SEO campaign and the proper strategy? So we're going to talk about that today, give you some good strategies and tactics. We also call hacks to do that. And then thirdly, what should your budget be? So that's also a big one, right? So how much budget should you allocate to do your SEO campaign? And then how do you quantify that to your client, right? To your prospect or to your internal team or your superiors, right? How do you quantify that budget? So we're going to talk about that as well. So with no further ado, let's just dive right in. So where it all begins, like I said, is with keyword research, right? So in order to find these big juicy phrases, right? Keyword phrases that get ranked and will produce return on investment. It's a challenge. It's a really big challenge. So over the past several years, we've actually built a platform from the ground up called Hacker, and we built this as a tool, kind of like by agencies for agencies. So a way to kind of hack the whole process and finding these keywords that are juicy, that are going to produce a really high ROI once you get ranked on Google, Yahoo, or Bing. So I'm going to kind of dive into that today and show you quickly how to use this software to find these phrases that have ROI. Okay, so here's a screenshot, right? And so it looks like a normal kind of ordinary spreadsheet, but there's so much more to this. It pulls in a lot of data from several different API feeds, such as Ahrefs and SEMrush, Moz. It kind of, the list goes on where we're pulling data from. But we built this in a very unique way to where we can now see projected and forecasted return on investment for any keyword phrase that you may want to rank for. So it's not just a simplistic, search volume keyword research tool like all the other ones out there. So I'm going to kind of dive in and explain some of the data that we're looking at here. Once you build a project we call a mission, you'll input keyword phrases, as many as you want, or you can upload a list of phrases. And so here on the left-hand side, you will see that, oops, I need to go back one. We have a list of phrases that we've already done some research on here. So we'll just start with the top one. Let's say we punched in beef jerky. Well, it starts out with some good data. It tells you 62,000 in search volume, so that's 62,000 people per month are searching for that phrase. Looks great, right? You can also get that from the Google Keyword Planner tool. Nothing real unique there, but good data to have. It's kind of where all the research starts. But then the next really interesting metric here that no other tool provides, and that's why we built this tool, is monthly visitor projections. And I'll show you how we got to those monthly visitor projections here in a bit. But basically, we're taking click-through rate and dividing it into search volume, and that yields the monthly visitors projected that you could achieve if you were to get on page 1 of Google. With that, we actually input a conversion rate, right? So when you set up a project, you can input your current conversion rate, and then that is multiplied into the visitors, and that projects your customers, right? If you don't have your conversion rate or your client's conversion rate, no fear there. The software will actually pull in industry averages of conversion rates for you. So that is automated as well. And then you get down to your sales forecasting, right? So the dollar figure per month that you could earn. And that's also based off of what is the average customer worth. Once again, when you set up a project or a mission in here, you can put what the average customer is worth in terms of dollars. And that's how we get to the monthly projections. And so all that kind of trickles down to what we call keyword net worth, your monthly projected return on investment for all of your phrases selected, or this one phrase here in this example, a potential earnings of $8,300 per month. Now, obviously, that is based on your conversion rates that you've entered or what the software has dictated. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, ask questions at the end of this webinar. We're going to dive in a little deeper here in a second. Also, something that's really cool is that if you guys go to rankhacker.com, you can actually set all this up and do this all for free to try it out on your own. So I'm going to jump into the next slide here. And so the next challenge that we were talking about is, what kind of content strategy should you do? How do you get ranked for these phrases? You found some good juicy phrases that have a really high ROI, hopefully, right? And you've done some forecasting, but now how do you get ranked? So there's a lot that goes into that, right? So there's a lot of offsite and onsite SEO, which we're going to talk about onsite here in a minute. But for offsite, what's really, really important is content marketing and also backlink building. So within the software, if you were to click any of the phrases, it expands and it shows you all the competitive intel. And that's where all these numbers come from, right? It comes from real numbers and real competitors. So let me dive in and explain this a little bit. So when you expand out a keyword phrase, in this case, beef jerky recipe, these are the top 10 competitors on Google. Okay, you can see all top 10 people ranking. The software pre-selects the top 3. Of course, you can uncheck and check these however much you want. But then how we pull in the visitors, right? We look at click-through ratio. We actually pull in the click-through ratio of each one of these URLs that are in positions 1, 2, and 3, and of course all of them below. And then we take that click-through ratio and we make it an average. And then we take that average click-through ratio and we divide that into search volume, and that's what yields the visitor projections. That's how we get that number, and it's all automated. This is all done for you. But more importantly than that is the monthly content goal, right? So we are actually pulling in how much content each one of your top competitors on Google are doing every single month on average, right? So if you see here, the top guy has 0 piece of content he's doing per month. But what's interesting, he has over 2 million backlinks. So that's one of the reasons why they rank so well. The next guy has 1 piece of content per month. The next guy has 6 pieces of content per month. And if you average all those together, you get an average as a group of 3, right? And in this case, beefjerky.com is doing 0 for that phrase, for this specific phrase. And these are all specific to the phrase, not just in general. So we now have a content goal. 3 minus 0 is 3. So now you have an actionable goal that you can follow. You know, as a marketer, or you can tell this to your prospective client or your client, that you have to be doing at least 3 pieces of content every single month to at least match the top 3 competitors on Google. So now you can choose, and this is where the monthly content goal is up here, you can choose to either match that or beat that. You can get more aggressive, which is really cool. Now, of course, there's more to it than content marketing. Content marketing is great. It's hot. It'll bring in relevant traffic for you. It will bring in high, powerful backlinks for you. But then you also need to consider the overall backlinks, which is down here. In this case, 3 million versus 968. So it is important to also have a really diversified link building program, even on top of your content marketing program. So that's something to keep in mind. So once again, I hope all of this made sense. I went through that kind of quickly, but hopefully you can see how this works, and that makes a little more sense. So getting to the third step, right? So you found keywords that are juicy, that have ROI. You now have a content goal that you can, an actionable content goal that you can follow, right, to match or beat your competitors. But what's the budget, right? So how much should your budget be? Well, once you have your content goal, it's actually pretty easy. So here's an example of that. So the content goal in this example was a 3, right? So for this software, Rank Hacker, you could actually add to cart and all the fulfillment could be done for you. But a lot of people use internal teams or they have their own freelancers, and that's fine. But it's simple math at that point. So whatever you charge for a piece of content, in this case, for an infographic, a case study, a press release, that will give you a monthly total, right? And so that's your content budget. And so that's a really easy way to quantify that now to your internal teams or to your clients and say, look, here's the goal. It's 3 pieces of content per month. Here's the content we're recommending that you do. And so therefore, this is the budget. So now your whole SEO strategy has been quantified. It has credibility. It's been legitimized, right? because you now have a goal and you have a budget, and there's no more guessing. And there's so much guessing that's done in the SEO world and the SEO industry of, typical marketers saying, well, how much is your budget? Oh, okay. You got $5,000 a month to spend. Well, here's how much content I can give you. Here's how many backlinks I can give you for that. They don't really quantify the strategy. They don't tell you why they want that much money or why they need that much. They're going to do that much content. Using a hack like this will actually show you and quantify the whole process and say, no, this is exactly how much marketing you need to be doing for these phrases to get ranked, and here's why. We can show you what the competitors are doing. As you can tell, we are very excited about this. So let me jump to the next part of the presentation. Pretty soon I'll be handing this off to Ricky Westbrook to talk more about the marketing automation side, but you guys are going to need to listen to me for just a little bit longer. So there's two sides to good SEO. It's on-site or on-page optimization as well as the off-site. So we talked about the off-site or off-page content marketing and link building, super, super important, right? But if you're not doing both, you're not doing proper on-site optimization and best practices, you're really not doing SEO properly, and you're not giving it all the attention it needs. So today I'm going to dive into some kind of deeper technical on-site SEO strategies for you that are relevant today. So whenever you're going to optimize your page, and we'll talk about the normal titles, metas, and headers and all that, some of that's still relevant today, but it's very critical, very important that you set up landing pages for topics or categories that you want to get ranked for, right? So let's say you find these juicy keyword phrases that are going to have ROI. It's still important today to create SEO landing pages for each one of your phrases. That was an old tactic, but it's still a relevant tactic. But what's changed is the way you build these pages. That's what's changed over the years. We, at Fair Marketing, we call this buyer intent pages. We came up with that because we feel like your landing pages need to be focused around intent, around satisfying user intent. And we didn't just come up with that. We actually get real geeky and nerdy, and we read what's called the Google Rater's Guide. I think the most recent one is like 160 pages or something, but we read all that because we want to know what's best practices today and what's current for SEOs. So in that Rater's Guide, it says that you need to have good utility on your page, and you have to be satisfying user intent. So it's very important that you do that. So if you're going to create a page, one page for every phrase, for each phrase or topic you want to rank for, definitely don't get into keyword stuffing. That's an old tactic, but make sure your page is relevant to that topic. And so the one way you can do that is to have Q&As, right? We like to put at least 3 question and answers on these landing pages. And why is that, right? Well, we want to satisfy the user intent. We do that through having a question on purchase that answers purchase intent, a question that answers informational intent, and another question that answers comparison intent, right? So, and once again, we get that from Google Best Practices, Google Rater's Guide, and we know that's what they're looking for. The reason they're looking for Q&As specifically is because that kind of came from the Google Hummingbird algorithm, which is based around conversational search. Okay, a lot of people now use their mobile phones, right, more than ever, and they talk to Siri, for example, and they ask questions. Where do I find the best restaurant in Houston, for example? What is the best Mexican restaurant in Houston? So that will pop up in a search result, and so they know that people are looking for questions. And so if you have a page that has popular Q&As, that's a really good thing to do, and make sure you're focusing on, once again, purchase intent, informational intent, and comparison intent. So if you're doing that, you're building a good page that has a lot of authority, relevancy for a topic, and then those pages will start to lift to the top of the search engines, of course, if you're doing content marketing, backlink building along with that, okay? So doing just this alone is not enough. It's just half of the battle. Other things to think about, if you'll look at some of these bullet points we have here, it's good to have testimonials. That lends credibility to the page. It's good to have strong call to actions, conversion points, right? So like a phone number, a form. It's It's good to have your map, your Google My Business map embedded in there, right? So for the location and local search, you want to have FAQs, as I mentioned. Reviews are great. Obviously, reviews help with rankings. Have those embedded on the page. Make sure your page has schema.org tags, also very important. Make sure it's mobile responsive. That's more important than ever. And you have a great user experience. You have social media links on there, and then your download speed has to be extremely fast. So all of these work together, right? These are the best practices for on-page SEO today. So I recommend you do all of them. Some of the most important that are jumping out right now is mobile responsiveness and download speed. Those are super, super important. I can't stress that enough. And here's another list of some other things you need to watch out for. Another huge hot one right now, guys, is security. Having your security certificate HTTPS enabled on your site. That's pretty much a must-have now. I can't stress that enough. I know it's kind of a pain to convert your site, but it has to be done. You need mobile responsive, you need fast, you need HTTPS, and even start playing with AMP, accelerated mobile pages. That is really, really hot right now. People are seeing really strong results from having AMP pages. Also good to always have your sitemaps in place, having Google Analytics and Google Search Console in place just from an analysis standpoint. And once again, keeping fresh content written. We talked about writing content for a landing page, a buyer intent page, but keeping up with a blog and constantly adding to that is really vital. It's still relevant today. The old saying, content is king. It's been said for many, many years, but it's true. Content still is king on the internet when it comes to SEO. So with all of that said, I hope that helps. I talked SEO, how that works together. I'm about to hand this off to Ricky, but I want to give a transition here. Once you put all this time, money, energy, and effort into getting good rankings, right, and you're starting to push new traffic visitors to your site, well, then what happens, right? You don't want them to bounce. You want them to convert to either a lead or a sale, right? And that's where having a really good marketing automation platform like SharpSpring can help. We call it the conversion accelerator. You want to take those visitors that come into your site and you want to lift that conversion point. You want to accelerate that conversion point, and you can do that through a really good marketing automation platform. So that's what Ricky Westbrook, my VP of Marketing Automation, is going to talk about right now. Take it over, Ricky.
Hey, guys. Yeah, so as Roger kind of stated there, marketing automation is really the perfect complement to SEO. Honestly, more so than really any other type of digital marketing, because as Roger's kind of laid out, there's so much work to be done to bring in SEO traffic. But also, as we've discussed, bringing in the traffic is just half the battle. So one of the worst things you can do is spend all this money and time bringing in this traffic and then just let it fall by the wayside. You can waste a ton of money by just not nurturing those leads that are coming in, that traffic. And there's so many easy ways now to nurture this traffic, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So here, what I want to talk about is kind of this diagram here. I want to walk through the visitor journey, so a customer journey. So say you've got your ranking up there for your phrase. You've got that big juicy phrase that Roger kept talking about. We're ranking for it. Awesome. And so the visitor goes, they see your listing, and they click on it. Great. That's exactly what we wanted them to do, right? They go to your website like normal, and then most of the time, if you're not doing marketing automation, if they just look around and kind of browse and then don't call, don't form, they're pretty much a gust in the wind then. They're at that point, if you're not doing marketing automation, they're gonna remain not relevant to you, and you're never gonna be able to get those guys back. But with marketing automation, there's two ways you can capture that information. One, if you have a what's called anonymous ID code, which SharpSpring has the visitor ID code, which works very well, you can actually capture these visitors as they come to your sites anonymously. So even So if it's a B2B company and the IP is registered to a certain company, you can actually find out which companies are coming to your site and just kind of browsing around. It's a really great tool. It's a tool all salespeople should be using, because at least if you know the name of the company looking, that gives, that's a warm lead to me, not just a cold lead. And second of all, obviously, for the people who convert on your site, who make a phone call, who fill out a form, fill out a chat function like that, all of it, once they have that email address, then you're golden. Then that's where the real fun begins with marketing automation. So as you go down to those next two, and these next two steps happen simultaneously. First, they need to get started on an email drip campaign. They need to start getting these. They need to get an email right away, thanking you for visiting the site, and putting your best and brightest offer out there, your best discount. The idea is to get them, back to your site and converting as fast as possible. And then they should keep getting emails, like Roger talked about with the user utility. There's certain utilities that you can email them. You can email those same frequently asked questions that we talked about for the landing page. Email those to them. Talk about your testimonials. Talk about your value proposition. Educate these people on your product, not just rah look at me, buy my stuff now. Educate and things like that. And those are the best type of email campaigns. And as you're nurturing those along, you're staying top of mind. And then, so to partner with that, we've got remarketing banners that obviously follow people around all over the internet, whether on ESPN, CNN, wherever you're looking at. You show banner ads there. You can show banner ads on Facebook. So it's, really, they look in their email box, there you are. They look at that they're on their favorite fantasy football website, there you are. News site, there you are. So it's all about just closing that loop and bringing them back to the website to get them to convert, because they say that 70% of all conversions happen outside the first session, because the phone rings, the kids run in the room, you forget something, you get another call, for whatever reason life gets in the way and you can't make that conversion, whether it's a big whether it's a big software purchase, whether it's a bag of beef jerky like Roger was talking about. It doesn't matter, life always gets in the way. So it's important to keep top of mind in these situations and keep nurturing them to bring them back. Otherwise, you're just leaving a lot of money on the table that you worked so hard to obtain. And so lastly, I just want to talk more about connecting the SEO and how important that is with our marketing automation. Obviously, we talked about how we're driving it. We talked about the anonymous info that we can capture, and just go a little more in depth on that. A tool like Visitor ID within SharpSpring can actually, about 20 to 30% of the time, can actually capture the business-to-business email, like an email from whoever came there. And so that's something that you can obviously automatically go in there and start nurturing to those people right away. Worst case scenario, you just got the name of the business, but I still find those can be completely valuable. I tell my sales team, hey, use that research, call the gatekeeper, email some people there, try to get hold of this. Somebody at that company was interested in you, that to me, that's a warm lead. And obviously capturing the form info, like I talked about. Any info you can capture on the website, you should be using that to your fullest advantage in a marketing automation platform. Cart abandonment is absolutely huge in marketing automation for anybody in e-commerce, because like I said, 70% of those conversions happen outside the first session. So you can send somebody an email that tells you exactly what they left in your cart. And there's all kinds of triggers that you can have. Really anything that's actionable on the website that can trigger workflow. If they go to this page, start them on this workflow. If they click something in this email, start them on this completely new workflow. So you can just create this massive web of emails through marketing automation that really gives the right message to the right person at the right time. And that's really what it's all about. And one of my favorite things about marketing automation, obviously, we can get the traffic in there, we can send these emails, we can set up these triggers, we can see visitor ID, anonymous user info, but the best thing is tracking that ROI. There's dashboards in these marketing automation tools like SharpSpring that can, not only can you track back, see which email campaign drove that conversion, but we can track it back to the SEO campaign as well. So you can see that your SEO efforts and your email marketing are working hand in hand to bring in these customers. And then in the very end of it, obviously, you can tie that right back into a sales pipeline. So your salespeople can go and man it. They know exactly where these leads come from. No more of those awkward conversations of, hey, how did you hear about us? It doesn't matter. You can tell, you can tell the prospect where, hey, I saw that you clicked on our frequently asked questions emails. Do you have any other questions about that? That can really impress prospects and just gives you, it equips your salespeople with so much more information about these prospects, and just exponentially increases your chances of closing these deals. So that kind of wraps up my part about marketing automation. I'll throw it back to Roger.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. Thanks, Ricky. I think it's just important to kind of realize, right, that doing digital marketing automation and using marketing automation platform like SharpSpring is really a good, incredible, powerful complement to any digital marketing service you have, right? So if you guys, whether you're doing digital marketing yourself, or let's say you're an agency, and you're pitching to a prospect, and the prospect's like, you know what, I've got social, I've got SEO, I've got PPC, we're good, well, you could throw it back at them and say, well, how would you like a 5% lift in your conversion rate? Oh, really? You can do that? Well, yeah. So let's talk about marketing automation. Do you have a marketing automation platform? And today, a lot of companies still don't have marketing automation platforms. You say, look, we're gonna help you through our marketing automation platform. We are gonna nurture your leads. Every visitor comes to your site, we're gonna nurture them to a higher conversion point. We're gonna do that in an intelligent way through these workflows or auto drip email campaigns and customer segmentation. We're gonna segment each customer based on the trigger that they click on your website and dump them into another auto drip bucket. And we're gonna nurture through education, right? And then you do the call to action in the last of the email series, right? But it's just such a big, powerful complement to any digital marketing that either you're doing or somebody's already doing. So I just kind of wanted to stress that point a little bit more. So I think that's that may be it on our end. Courtney, I'll kick it back to you and then see if you can open it up for questions.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Roger, Ricky, that was fantastic. Well, I love the tie-in of quantifying SEO budgets with content goals for your clients, or even for an in-house marketing professional for their boss. I think that that's so valuable because I agree, content is king, and it's something that we hear all the time, but kind of relaying the SEO budgets back to clients can be difficult, I think, for a lot of agency partners. I definitely.
Yeah, no problem. Our pleasure. Yeah, that's a huge challenge, a huge hurdle we've had to overcome over the years, and so we're glad we could share some tricks there.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously I'm a little biased, but I love the tie-in to marketing automation. I love converting those leads, seeing the increased conversion rate, and visitor ID is obviously a cool but slightly creepy feature, one of my favorites.
No, we love it. We're
going to head into a little Q&A here. We have a couple questions from the audience. How are you tracking people who call after visiting your site versus those filling out a form?
Yeah, sure. So there's actually call tracking that you can do. So Ricky, you want to talk a little about the call tracking?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a plethora of different call tracking platforms out there. The one I've probably used every single one of them. I've actually worked for one of these companies before, but the best one I've ever used is CallRail. Actually, I think it's the most affordable. It's the most, it's the easiest to use. It's very robust. You can track different conversion points, and I mean the call tracking is just top notch. It's very, very easy to access dashboards. You can go in there and see the exact time of the calls. It's got dynamic number insertion, so it's where the number changes on your landing page, which allows you to track down to the keyword level, which is highly important. So obviously, you can always, you can track offline stuff too, like billboards, direct mail pieces and things like that. But the real value piece to a call tracking software like CallRail would be the dynamic number insertion, so you can get down to the keyword level and find out exactly which keywords are driving conversions.
Absolutely. CallRail is actually one of our tech partners here at SharpSpring, and we work closely with them. So we love CallRail as well.
Yep.
Great.
Another question here. What type of offsite content marketing will have the most impact to my SEO rankings?
Yeah. That's a great question, and one that we get a lot because there's so many ways to do content and content marketing. When we're talking about offsite, right? Stuff that's pointing to your site. You can do infographics, you can do press releases, you can do, post white papers, and the list kind of goes on and on. One of the most powerful ones that we've seen is guest blogging. It's been around for several years now, and it's gotten really hot, but it's not dead. It's still very relevant. If you can write some content and get a blogger to agree to post that content on their blog that's vertical specific to your industry, and they post that, and then you'll not only get relevant traffic to your site, but you'll get a powerful backlink to your site, and that really helps with the SEO. As long as you are doing the guest blogging on legitimate, industry leaders, right? Bloggers that are, for real and legit and have a good audience. You want to do it the right way, and not get into a lot of this spammy, PBNs, personal blog networks, and things of that nature. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to piggyback off of that, we kind of use that backlink strategy here for our own SEO at SharpSpring. We have found that a lot of our agency partners are already blogging about marketing automation, so it's an easy, natural fit for us to get some backlinks there. So I fully agree that the guest blogging is a fantastic strategy.
Cool, perfect, great.
Another question here, are the SEO projections from Rank Hacker based on the whole US, or are they broken down at the city level?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That was another really big hurdle that we had to tackle. But it is all down to the city level, which was a huge challenge for us to build in that tech. So when you're actually looking at the competitors and even the search volume where it all begins, you are looking at that on the city level of the city that you input. So all those projections are based on that. But there is a setting that you can change if you want to see the search volume to like the whole city metro or the whole country. You can change those settings as well. But it was real important that the search volume and the competitors did come from that city level, city specific. And so we're happy we were able to get that to work.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. Another question here from the audience. Does your tool value content, for example, social media versus white papers? I think they mean, does it rank the different types of content with a higher or lower metric based on what type of content it is? I think that's what the question is.
I think that's interesting. So we've got a phase 2 roadmap. We actually, if I'm understanding the question properly, it's kind of more about like, what type of content. So the Rank Hacker tool spits out a content goal, right? It'll say like, you need to be doing 3 pieces of offsite content per month. But it currently doesn't talk about what kind of content. We've already built out the tech that will tell you what types of content your competitors are building, whether it's a social media, a blog, a press release, an infographic, or whatever. We already built that tech out. We just haven't released that. We haven't done that rollout yet because it's still in development. But that's on the roadmap. So hopefully soon we'll be able to, we're calling those content blueprints. So people will be able to fully manage their content blueprints. It'll say you need to do, X amount of blogs, press releases, infographics, guest blogs per month. And then it'll allow you to manage that whole process of building and fulfilling that content with your in-house teams or, the Rank Hacker team.
Sure, very cool. It can help you prioritize. That person actually came back and said, does it evaluate one versus the other? That's the question. I think which piece of content brought in the traffic, I think is their question.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, our tool is based on projections of, how much search volume, how many visitors, how many customers those keywords could bring in if you got ranked. But it doesn't tell you how much traffic that the content brought in. It just tells you what kind of, how many pieces of content you need to write to match, to do each month and publish each month to match or beat your competitors. So it doesn't actually tell you how much traffic each piece of content came in. But in our next roadmap, it will tell you what type of content in the page authority and even the URLs where that content came from. So you'll be able to say, oh, on average, they're doing 3 pieces of social media content per month. And here's the URLs where those came from, the pages they came from, and the domain authority is a 40 or higher. So then you can completely spoof your competitors and and emulate their strategy down to a T. So that's on the second iteration and roadmap that we're working on now. Very cool.
Yep. Another question here, how can I leverage social media to help with marketing automation?
So that's interesting because that really gets advanced, but there is a really cool way that you can do that. So for example, if you're using a marketing automation platform such as SharpSpring, you're collecting all these leads in your CRM. A neat way to marry that with social media is to take those leads and push them to a platform like Facebook. And so we've actually been able to do that. We've been able to kind of like do our own little hack with SharpSpring and Facebook to marry them together using Zapier. So we can automatically, through that connection, pull out of our leads from SharpSpring and push them into Facebook, and then create custom audiences and lookalike audiences on the fly, and then remarketing campaigns as well. So then all of your leads are in the marketing automation platform are getting remarketed to on a platform like Facebook, which is a really kind of cool and powerful way to kind of enhance your efforts and take it to another level. So I'm glad someone asked that. That was a good question.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love that strategy. A couple other questions from the audience about the recording. We are going to email the recording and the slide deck out to everybody after as a reminder, so you will have that in your email inboxes soon. And I'm going to put our contact information up here on the screen. Again, my name is Courtney Adams. I work at SharpSpring, and Roger and Ricky here from Fair Marketing. If you'd like to follow up with either of us, our emails are on the screen. Please feel free to reach out. We'd love to chat with you. And with that, I think we are all set. Thank you guys so much. That was fantastic content. I loved it. I think SEO is kind of this mystical unicorn for a lot of marketers out there. So I love that you guys kind of broke it down and simplified it for us.
Oh, no, absolutely. It was our pleasure.
Yeah,
thanks for having us today. You know, there's a lot to it. You know, the thing I would just tell everybody in closing is that you got to keep up with it. If you're going to be doing SEO and marketing automation, it's something you got to constantly keep up with and keep learning. You're always learning in this industry. So, but we really enjoy it. And thanks so much for having us.
Thank you guys. We appreciate it. Everyone have a great day.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.